Evaluation should definitely find its place in athletic training. I think that any theory, idea, or concept that's incorporated in any other aspect of healthcare should also find its place in athletic training. For example, the big model of using the disablement model and using evidence-based practice and stuff like that that's found in other um, healthcare professions such as nursing, with physicians and other sites as well. We're trying to make that shift as the athletic training profession to stay relevant within healthcare. Um, so my previous attempts at process evaluation was well, first off, let me state that for me in my secondary school setting, I think that self-reflection is one of the most important process evaluation techniques that I can use. Mainly being because in the secondary setting, it's kind of difficult, and this may just be a perceived barrier, but it's kind of difficult to accumulate data on for specific evaluation to put it in, a numerical form or something like that, because the athletes and the students, they only have 40 minutes between the end of class and then the start of practice, and then at the end of practice they got to go home, they got to do homework, they got to eat dinner and all that other stuff. So it's difficult to use outcomes measures and stuff like that when I'm seeing 15 to 20 athletes in between that 40-minute period, before they all go off to home or to their sports and stuff like that. It's hard to try and give them something that I can use to put things into a quantitative form of data. So my using self-reflection and looking at how I'm doing things so that I can grade myself rather than having to use my patient's ideas or uh, evaluations of me or anything like that. Um, as important as those are, since they're not attainable, I have to modify my approach to process evaluation and just use self-reflection. So previous attempts is I'm establishing this new athletic training position, and I'm trying to figure out the best way for me to incorporate documentation into my practice, obviously, because documentation is quite important in athletic training and in any other setting of healthcare. But anyway, so I started off. I wanted to try and use just a paperback form of documentation. Keep it simple. I got a policy and procedure manual from my company. I wanted to use those forms that he gave me because he gave me all the ones that I would need for any kind of documentation, concussions, basic injuries, visiting team injuries, and stuff like that. The only problem is I don't have access to an immediate printer or an immediate copier or anything like that. And so that makes using paperback a little bit difficult. And so my first attempt, and what I think is going to be a good uh, reaction to my own self-reflection, is implementing the use of an EMR within the secondary setting. So my company uses sportswear, and so I requested that I have an account set up with that EMR. So far, I would say that it has been a failure for me because a lot of the people that I'm seeing, I don't have documentation of their original eval. I don't have documentation of the rehab that I've been having them do and stuff like that. So I'm kind of trying to wait, and every new injury that I receive, every new evaluation that I do, I'm entering into the EMR. Every new concussion that I evaluate, I'm entering into the EMR. And then that's also where I'm going to keep, um, all their rehab stuff and everything that I'm having them do with me, so I can keep up with my own treatment logs and stuff like that. Um, Sorry, I'm going down the question list here. Anyway, so in the future, I do want to figure out a way to incorporate patient data or patient evaluations of my performance as their athletic trainer, so that I can adjust my habits and my strategies as their athletic trainer accordingly to their evaluations of me. I do want to eventually incorporate PROs, and I want to find time um, to have those get done efficiently, so that the student isn't just circling answers or writing numbers for the Likert scale just to kind of get it done. I want it to mean something. So I would say that after I establish this EMR and I get good at documentation and I feel comfortable with that, my next step for process evaluation will be looking into patient values and stuff like that. And I think that's all. Thank you.